Hey, welcome. It's the Business Renovator. I'm Coach Phil, your host, and I'm really quite excited about our guest and what he's going to bring to the table. It's going to be a little bit a difference. He might even sing a song or two. Can't promise. It is pretty early where he's at. He's about an hour ahead of me, and it's 9 a.m. here, 8 a.m. there, and he is an artist. I don't know if they can sing this time of the day. I can't sing any time of the day and keep a tune. We'll see what happens. Anyway, what I would like to do now is jump into my friend's book, The Customer Delight 365. And today I've selected an Albert Einstein quote. And it goes like this. Matter of fact, I got it let's put it up there for you. Weakness of attitude becomes weakness of character. So Brian, the author curator of this particular book that's on the screen right now, says a bad attitude is like rust on your bumper. At first, it's just a small blemish, but left unattended, it will eventually compromise the integrity of your vehicle. If the integrity of your company is compromised, then you can pretty much kiss your business goodbye. A positive attitude is akin to waxing and polishing your car. A polished car glistens with delight. Name of this book is Customer Delight 365. You can get a copy of it from Amazon and have these quotes yourself every day. Read your favorite ones. So let's get rid of the book for now. And let's start talking about my guest, who I met a bunch of years ago on social media. We happened to be in the same group coaching organization at the time, and I'm excited that he's got up early to hang out with us today because, like I said, he's on the west coast of Canada, and it's 8 a.m., and it's pretty early for him. So let's bring Lowry on. Good morning and welcome.
Morning, Phil.
Did you get a coffee?
I got a coffee. Thank you very much for yes. Just got it dripping right here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so I should be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I'm looking forward to it. Sorry to get you out of bed so early.
No, I'm up anyway.
Are you? That's good.
Yeah.
Like I was telling everybody that's watching here, I was really excited that you're being here because it's a different way to provide value to people. And I've heard you do a few things, and I've heard you share a few stories. And I just want to get people an opportunity to hear about what you do and how you do it and how you came about it. So I'm just going to ask you some questions, and we'll see where we go from there.
Awesome.
So you've been an art. Well, let me actually, to help people get up to speed, I'm going to read a little bio that we put together for this. So Lowry has established 9 albums, or released 9 albums, toured the globe, and led over 500 songwriting sessions with more than 10,000 people. He also writes PowerSongs, which is what we're going to talk about today, with people, whether they have lots of musical ability or not so much. And it gives them clarity, confidence, and energy. It's in big capital letters because that's what happens. And I understand the concept. We're going to learn more about that today. And then he gives them the energy to break through the blocks that create the life that they dream of. So here's another way to live to your potential is what I'm thinking, leveraging the idea of your PowerSongs. Would that be fair to say that?
Yep, that's very much what it is. It's a tool to help you break through those critical voices and the self-doubts and all those kinds of things quickly and strategically, and to lift your energy to, because you can kind of be that small version of yourself that shows up, when if you're falling for those thoughts, those negative thoughts that say, oh, I can't do this. And, we show up as a very small version of ourselves. But PowerSongs are basically a musical affirmation that you use the music as well as the words and your own words to see yourself differently and to really open your eyes to a lot more possibilities.
How did you come out about creating this?
Well, I was going through, kind of a rough period in my life. I'd come to the end of a 20-year marriage, and I was trying to figure out, what I was going to do next and where I was going to live, and, all this kind of things. And it was really, whenever you're in a position of transition at any point in your life, there's always a difficult aspect to it, but there's also this kind of blank slate aspect to it. And anyway, but I was struggling, I'm sure. And so a friend said, well, why don't you do affirmations? And I said, well, I do affirmations, but I don't find them that effective. They're you need to. Sometimes they just feel like you're kind of kidding yourself. Like I'm a millionaire, and you're working at McDonald's, right? So and we have these bullshit detectors that don't allow us to do that. But anyway, she said, why don't you write a song then? And so I did, and I wrote a song that went. It was just kind of a little musical affirmation. It went, I thought about, what do I want in my life? Well, what I would love, what I've always wanted, is to live on the ocean. What do I want? I want love in my life. What do I want now? I want, more meaningful work, more joy, more adventure. And so the song that I wrote went, I got a house on the water and someone to love. I laugh and sing and work and play. I'm living in the flow, helping people grow. Joy and adventure every day. And that was what I would sing to myself. And I didn't sing it around anybody because it was kind of embarrassing and it wasn't even true. I didn't have any of those things. But what happened miraculously over the course of the next couple of years is that the opportunities for all of those things to fall into place did. And I don't think they would have if I hadn't, named them, if I hadn't got clear about what I wanted. But also what's different about when you add music is how it affects your brain on a chemical level. It changes your energy. You go from like a low level kind of poor me energy, which is, it takes a lot of poor me energy to get anything done, to get to this place, where you can transition and you're much more in flow. You're out of that thinking red zone of anxiety and fear and doubt and all that stuff, and in your body into a place of peace and gratitude and possibility, from where you can be much more effective.
So when you were singing that, I had tingles.
Really?
So that's a transference of energy. And you're right. If we just have an affirmation and there's no emotional connection to it, it's just route. It's like you say, we have bullshit detectors, and it doesn't allow us to do it. And then we got that other voice. See, you can't do that. So we have that argument with ourselves, right? So having the music adds the emotional connection. And I believe that the part of the process of change, and why I like the idea of the music, is that we think first we have a thought, then we get a picture, and then we have some emotions. And by adding the music to it and the flow of the words that affirm what you want to be, even though you're not today, it adds that dimension that's missing. Because if we can get that emotional energy around the things that we want to grow into becoming, doing, and having in the people we meet and the places we live, then it happens so much faster. And I've experienced that. Not so much with music that I've sang for myself, because last time I sang, I cleared the room. So you don't want me to sing. So you sing beautifully, though.
Well, actually, I do want you to sing, Phil. And the point is, that's my whole point. This isn't about a performance. It's not about how well you sing it. It's what people say. It's irrelevant how well you sing it. What happens though is that when you do sing it, you change your emotional state. And in some ways, it's a declaration. And I don't want to diminish the value of affirmations, because they actually, they totally have value and are I use them still, right? It's a way of countering. But what happens with the when you add music, it's kind of like an affirmation to me is a positive thought against a negative thought. And so it's kind of like an even playing field, thought against thought, right? But to me, what happens, what I really need to change my whole energy level and get into my body, get out of your head, right? They say people spend 80% of their lives these days, especially with COVID, in the red zone, in thinking and, despair and fear and anxiety and anger and perfectionism and, worry and all that stuff. And only 20% in the blue zone of peace. And so to me, I'm really interested in spending a lot less time in that other area. And when you talk about people, getting, you were talking about getting the emotional content. And that's one of the things they tell you with affirmations is, imagine yourself, how would it feel to do that? Well, this is just a tool to add a lot of power to that. It gets your vagus nerve involved. It gets, it's a complete chemical change. Music, puts oxytocin into, it does all these things, right? And there's an emotional journey that happens with melodies. Like I wouldn't write just any melody for, like Somewhere Over the Rainbow doesn't go, somewhere over the rainbow way up high. It goes somewhere. And there's a musical journey. If you follow that, if you never heard the song, if you never heard the lyric, you would still go da ba ba da 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 da. And the end, you're just giving yourself this hug, right? So you've gone from an open sense of possibility down to this sense of like almost loving yourself in the melody. That's all. It's all there, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the power of PowerSongs. And every song I write with people, and I write them together with people. It takes about 90 minutes, and every melody is different. Every melody is, it. And if they only have a range of 5 notes, we're going to write a song that is, that they can sing. It has to be something that you can sing and not sit there and feel badly about yourself for it. But you don't have to perform it.
Yeah, the music component, whether it's doing your power song, which is more specific to the individual, if people are watching this now or in the replay, think about when music comes on from your history, what happens? Where do you go?
Yeah.
It happens to me. I don't listen to a lot of music a lot of the time because I'm doing other things, but I do periodically. Actually, I'm on one of the apps that's available. I have a membership, and I've stopped buying CDs, not because I don't like to buy music. It's just I accumulate them, and then I want something else. So I pay for a membership and get my music that way. And I'm listening to the 70s, kind of the music that I grew up as a young guy. And some of the artists there, and they start singing their songs, and you hear 10 years after doing their songs, or there's The Who or a Dylan song, and it takes me right back to when I used to have a lot more hair, parted in the middle, and I was quite a few pounds lighter, and I was more athletic. And it took me right there. So the emotional connection to music is powerful. I like what you're doing, though, because we're not looking at a historic thing, I don't think. We're looking at a future thing, like we're declaring, like you said, a new significance, a new us. We're moving towards our higher potential is what I get when I hear you talk about PowerSongs. And I know that some of the stuff you talk about, people can't see just where you're at, but I've been privy to seeing you perform on a boat on the ocean on the west coast of Canada, which places where I've kind of sort of been too. So in this rowboat, he's not rowing and singing, guys. He stops the boat, plays a song, and he's living the dream. So it actually is, it's not a fib. He's actually living it.
Well, and when I was going, coming out of that divorce, I started going to see this therapist, and he said, Lowry, we can go over all the things that you did wrong and, rehash the whole thing. He said, that's not what we're going to do. He said, I want you out in your rowboat. I want you writing songs. I want you, living the dream. I want you to making videos, doing all these things. I want you to do everything that brings you joy and makes you feel the most alive. So that, what happens is you start spending time in that place, and you start getting used to that place of like, this is why I do this. I remember one day being out on my paddleboard out here, and I'm thinking, well, it's really good I'm doing this because, I need to be, I've got something coming up and I need to be at my best for it. So I need the exercise and stuff like that. And I thought that's ridiculous. I don't have to justify this. This is why I'm here. Like, this is why I what I live for. Why would I have to justify doing this? But so to me, that whole, there's sometimes what I see people do is there's a real, when you stay down in that kind of low level energy of the poor me and that whole thing, and sometimes that's totally appropriate. If you've gone through hard stuff and, you need to like just draw in and lick your wounds and you know, and allow yourself to kind of heal and do that. But there's also a danger in that, because you get a lot of self-love and stuff from that, in that place. But that's not the only place that you can love yourself. You know, you can push yourself, and you can have, you know, you can be a different person and still, and in fact, get way more love, you know, and joy in your life, right? Well, I can't hear you now.
I muted myself because I was
Okay.
sneezing.
Okay.
So this is a friend of mine out of Massachusetts, somewhere near Boston, in Attleboro. I probably said that wrong. But what does Joe say? He says music is valuable and will change your frame of mind. This is kind of what we've been talking about. That's why you write power songs, is to do that, right?
Yeah.
And your whole life is here. No 11th hour reprieve. So don't forget to breathe. Keep your head above the water. It's kind of funny he talks about water because you live on the water. And don't forget to breathe. Great quote. Thanks for sharing that, Joe. Appreciate it. And for being here.
Yeah. And, you know, of course, when you sing, you breathe much more deeply, right? That's such a good point, Joe, because, you know, to me, like, breathing is, you know, that's the source of everything.
I had that addiction, you know, smoking. I used to be a smoker. So I'm a member of SA, Smokers Anonymous. So I guess it's not so anonymous now. I've publicly declared that I was a smoker. And I came to the conclusion why I liked it so much. And it was because of what you just said. It's the breathing.
You're right. Actually, that's true, because I smoke too. And it's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a visual. It turns your breathing into a visual. Yeah, I never thought of that.
But it sure, you know, there was days I go, why the heck am I, this stuff tastes terrible. And I go and do it again.
Yeah.
But it's the breathing.
Yeah.
Anyway, life's a journey, and we learn things along the way. So people reach out to you and find you in a wide variety of different ways. And when they find you, if somebody was interested in having a power song done, what would be like? They'd reach out to you, and then you'd interview them, and then just kind of maybe share how you do that.
Well, the best way for people to get in touch is just to go to my website, PowerSongs.ca.
Yeah, well, and we'll put that up there so nobody forgets it.
Yeah, and there's a little button on there that says "Let's Chat," and you can set up a free 20-minute discovery call. And I love to hear people's stories, and I love to hear about, you know, what they want to do with their lives, and where they're feeling, you know, stuck. And really, it's just kind of an opportunity for them to get to know me a little bit and see if they think that, you know, that they would feel safe to do this with me, and think that it would be a fun process. So it's really kind of a chance just for people to get a sense of me and how it works, and if this is a fit for them. So that's, you know, a free call, and there's a link there to my calendar, and you can schedule a call with me.
And I'll make sure that we put that on here when we get closer to the end, so it's here for people later on as well. The reason I was asking that question was just to give an idea of what the flow is. So what I understand is they'd reach out, go to your website. It's probably, like you're saying, is probably the best place. Book a 20-minute discovery call. See if, like you said, feel if it's comfortable. And then once it's comfortable and they say, wow, you know, this really makes sense for me, then you book a 90-minute. You said it takes about 90 minutes to.
Well, you know, yeah, it takes around that. I've done them shorter and I've done them longer, and I don't really care. I ask people to allow, you know, 2 hours of uninterrupted time to do it, so that we don't feel rushed. And then if we need more time, then I'm open to doing like a follow-up session to basically, I love writing songs. I don't want to write a crappy song. Sometimes it takes longer. Sometimes it's just so fast, it's ridiculous. If people want to see the process in action, there's a podcast I did with a woman in Atlanta called Unconventional Leaders, and I write the theme, her power song for her on air. So you can watch the process. It's really, you know, me, just what I do before the session is I send you what I call my deep dive worksheet, and I get people to think about, you know, certain questions like, what brings you the most joy in life? You know, what would you like to be doing more of? What will you feel regret if you do not do in your life? You know, where do you feel like you're losing opportunities, all these things that to sort of reflect on things that you might not normally be thinking about. So that's when you answer those, it also gets your subconscious working. So people have those ahead of time. I also ask them to send me links to 2 or 3 songs on that inspire them or that they like, so I get a sense of their musical taste. So we're going to write something that feels good for them to sing. And then once they do that, then we schedule the session, and like I say, it's a couple hours. And then once the song is done, which means they love it, they'd fight for every word in that song, and yes, this is exactly what I wanted to say, and yes, I like this melody, and once we both love it too, then I make a recording. I go into my studio, I make a nice vocal guitar recording that they have, and so they can, and I make them a web page so they can access they have the sheet music for it. They have the guitar chords, the words, and this recording. And if they, if they want, there's also, you can have a video vision board where you can add visuals to this thing. And if they really want to get that's called the visionary. There's the Energizer, the visionary, and then the Rockstar package has I take it into the studio with my buddies, and we do a full backing track with backing vocals and drums and bass, and extend the length of the song and turn it and make it sound like a radio hit. So people really love that one.
I didn't know about that. That's for me.
I love doing those.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. So, and when I was growing up, I'm going to tell you what I would like to have been, and then I'll tell you what it really was. I sold my car and bought a guitar. Yeah. And I liked it because it rhymed. But the truth is, I did sell my car, but I bought a keyboard, and it doesn't have the same lyrical magic. And I tried to become a musician, and I realized that I was more effective at being a producer, an observer, and conductor with the band than I was actually being a musician. I did play on a few of the songs, and I did learn how to play the keyboard, certainly not to the level that you do or anybody who's really proficient at, and I don't even have a keyboard anymore. But it was my experiment to see if I could be literally a rock star. And I decided that, I'm better at doing other things, and there's more talented, gifted people. So it wouldn't have been a good use of my skill set.
Right.
So I really appreciate when I run into people like you who can actually make music happen, whether they're as good as you or almost as good. I don't really care. The fact that they're strumming and singing and it's coming out pretty good, I'm amazed and impressed by people who do that.
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of kind of keeping on learning and keeping on growing, and I invest I invest heavily in my own growth, and I've had some of the best singing teachers literally in the world. I had just 2 lessons from a woman in Nashville who teaches Garth Brooks and Lyle Lovett and Keith Urban, and really the best singers, some of the best singers on the planet. And they're, the lessons were like $350 for 50 minutes, but in those 2 lessons, what she taught me was stuff that nobody else, the complete opposite of every other vocal coach I've had.
Wow.
And I walked out of there and it was easy to learn. And, she honed in on exactly what I needed. And afterwards people are saying, is that a new song, Lowry? I don't think I've heard that one. It's like, I've been singing that for 5 years, and yet, I have all these, and I have to fly into Nashville to do this stuff. Right. And my friends there are saying, oh, wow, you had a lesson with Renee Grant Williams. And it's like, well, why wouldn't you live here? You pay in US dollars. Like, people will spend, $3,000 on a guitar, but they won't spend $300 on a guitar on lessons. Right. And it's the same thing with personal growth. And quite frankly, with PowerSongs, it's like, what's it worth to you to have a tool that is going to you're going to end up with a house on the ocean and someone to love,
It's priceless, right?
It's our mindset that we have to get clear about what we want. We have to give ourselves permission to even want it, and then we have to keep working on our mindset. That's, to me, that's why I'm personally a personal development junkie, and I get the feeling you must be too, Phil, because there's always more. We can always grow past these limiting beliefs.
Oh, absolutely. So if you see what's streaming underneath the
Mindset.
Yeah, the last word is mindset. And the Business Renovator's premise is really helping business owners, salespeople, and entrepreneur around things like sales, marketing, and mindset. And what I've learned, and I echo what you're saying, not from the music side, but from the other side. How do you become more effective at selling and marketing and telling your story? And how do you show up? What's your mindset? So that's why I do the Business Renovator, is to bring in people like you and others to share some wisdom with people, to let them know that there are ways to elevate their situation, change what's going on. And with coaching or a power song or both, it's like putting fuel on the emotional fire so that emotional side of the things elevates us to places that we maybe never even thought about dreaming about, or didn't allow ourselves to do that. And I see that time and time again, because I'm a constant, bit of a junkie, but it's kind of the business I'm in. If I'm not constantly making changes and improvements for myself and others, then how can I leave this world feeling I've been the best me? And that's what I like about what you do. You do the same thing with a different modality. It's beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah. No, yeah, and I think we just kind of, people need to be encouraged and inspired to invest in themselves in that way. It's really, I've got some friends who are really frustrated that are, retired, and they have lots of free time, and they have a lot of, kind of the ideal life, and they're not very happy because they don't feel like they're contributing anything of value, or that their gifts are being used or whatever. But what they fail to do is to continue to invest in their own personal growth. It's like, well,
Right.
if you want to be a coach, well, then, you need to up your skill levels. And are you going to spend money on yourself, or are you going to spend it on your golf game? Right. And they'll spend it on their golf game, but they won't spend it on improving their skill set and growing into who they can become. And
You remind me of a story.
I think that's short-sighted, right?
I put your logo up here because I'm going to go back to the golf story, because it reminded me about somebody who I met about half a dozen years ago. And to that point, you're exactly right. This PowerSongs logo, it doesn't show up very well with a piano back there. That's my fault. But I think it shows up reasonably well. And we've been kind of connected for a number of years because of that same group that we used to hang out with. And we had a conversation before this showed up, but you posted this new look, this PowerSongs logo, Energize Your Life. And I commented on it. And in that commenting, I said that I think I said, it's brilliant. We should promote that. So that's what started us to be here today. And I just want to put the logo up there because I still think I love it. It doesn't work for me, but for you, it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. And you told me it's just the way you write. I'm going, man, that's incredible.
Yes, I have the same on my rowboat. It's called the Ship of Dreams. I just hand wrote it too, and it's quite nice. It feels so full.
It is good. You're a creative beast.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of way. So going back to the golf story, I met a fellow who owned a restaurant and pub, and I had some ideas I wanted to introduce to him about. I should come on the screen here because I'm a talking head with no head, and he had a financial planner, and the financial planner would take him out for golf with a golf pro golf coach equivalent. And he'd be bragging about and excited. And why not be excited? He knocked 3 strokes off his score as a golfer. I said, that's exciting. I said, when you get to the state where you're open and interested in getting 15 to 20% increase in profit, at the same level as you are with your golf, I can help you. But until you get to that state, there's no sense working together. And he never did work with a business coach, myself or anybody else. But go to the golf course and knock his score down, that was important to him. So to your point.
Sure. And I think, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I like improving at whatever I do. And I think the key is always getting great teachers. It's that whole, Malcolm Gladwell idea of the 10,000 hours is like, it's not true. there's, it's not just about the time spent. It's about who are your teachers. Tiger Woods had his dad, who was a fantastic teacher. Mozart had his dad, who was a fantastic teacher. The Beatles had George Martin. These guys didn't just band. Paul McCartney says that. He said, there are lots of bands playing in Hamburg or wherever they were that played 4-hour gigs 7 days a week. They didn't become the Beatles. There's more to it than just time. It's, to me, I mean, that's my case of that wonderful singing teacher. 50-minute lesson was, I would never have learned that stuff. It wouldn't happen. So if it's golf or it's business coaching or it's whatever, I don't cooking. I don't care. I love the idea that we can, become more excellent and more effective and have more joy and more productive. I love that.
This is a friend from way back.
Hey,
Linda and I used to do. We facilitated some courses together back in the 90s, and I haven't seen her in a long time. I've seen her post on LinkedIn and whatnot, and to see you here, Linda, is awesome. This is worth the price of admission.
There you go. Which was free, by the way.
That's right. But it still was well worth it.
Still worth it.
And it's great to see you. I would love to have a conversation with you, Linda, at some point in time. If you're interested to reach out, let me know. That'd be awesome. Yeah. And I see. Let's see what Joe's going to have something.
She's not ashamed. I like it. She's not ashamed of being a learning junkie. Hey, to me,
isn't that great? And her story is fascinating too. I'll share that. Wait a minute. What? I was her. Oh, wow. I'm humbled by that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I actually saw it the other way around, but I'll take that. Absolutely. Thank you. Joe, what's he saying? And then he said his best clients are those that have an open mindset to seeing a bigger picture and know things can improve. Oh, man. Isn't that true?
Yeah.
I had a client once that I thought he was skeptical at first. And I don't mind skepticism. That just means they're not sure that it's going to work. Like, I'm a little skeptical when you said, Phil, I want you to sing. My inner voice went, hell no. Right? So that's skepticism, but I'm not cynical. Whereas I had a client who was cynical. And what I learned was people who are cynical are really difficult to work with. And I'm not going to work with them if I realize that's who they are. Right. Skeptical, absolutely do it. Be that way. Don't just because we say it, believe it. Test it out, see if it works for you, because not everything works the same for everybody, I find.
Well, I love, in a sense, I'm really used to working with skeptical people because I do these songwriting workshops with teams, with organizations and stuff like that. And always it's because there's some, the CEO or the executive director or something is a visionary person who says, okay, well, we're going to get together, we're going to write this song about our work and what we do. And it's going to be a really cool thing. And then the people all say, I don't want to do that. I don't sing. I've got nothing to add. I couldn't, why are we doing this? And so usually there's a fair level of, of doubt and even antagonism when we start these workshops. And we say, okay, we're going to, write a song together in the next little while. And then by the end of it, as we start, kind of gradually, I say, okay, well, what's one word we could, and it's like, oh, well, here's one word, and they kind of gradually get into it. And by the time, pretty soon they're like have strong opinions about that word should not be in there. And this word is much better. And, like by the time we're done, we're singing this song and there's always a cheer that goes up. It's like just a complete transformation. And that's what I love is that, when people come in with a degree of skepticism, and then as you go through a creative process, especially when it involves music, there's a complete transformation that occurs with people that they all of a sudden, they just come alive and they feel the joy of creativity and they start to honor themselves and see that, I'm not just a bookkeeper. I am taking care of business. I am somebody who's changing the world. I'm helping these guys sleep at night. There's a greater purpose to what I do than just washing the floor. You know what I mean? So I love creating transformation for people, right? And that's what coaches do. That's what Joe's talking about.
Exactly. There was one story you shared with somebody we know. I don't know if you want to share that now or not, but they went on a holiday, and it's husband, wife, and daughter, and how you help them. Am I putting you on the spot?
They wrote a song together. Oh, yeah. They didn't really go on holiday. I mean, it was just I write these songs with families sometimes too, and they wanted to do. They just have we wrote a song together with husband and wife and their, I think, 11-year-old daughter, and called "Our Harbor Is Our Home." We love to live it up, Annabella, Jim and Puff, ice cream, steak and wine, adventure every time. We laugh and cry and play. We count our blessings along the way, whether we're together or alone. Our harbor is our home. And so they sing it. They play it every time they go, every weekend. That's why you're thinking that. 'Cause they go to Flagstaff on the weekends, and if they don't play the song when they start, then their daughter says, "How come we're not playing our song?"
Yeah, that's beautiful. So that's cool.
Yeah, no, I write them with couples that want to honor, their for an anniversary or whatever. I write them sometimes for individuals that want to write a song for, a partner as a gift, and obviously for teams and organizations, and they can use it as an audio brand or for a conference theme. Those, I just, there's all kinds of uses for that songwriting process, right?
Yeah. So I've had your website up here for a while so people can see that. So they can go to powersongs.ca and go there, book a 20-minute discovery call, and then decide if it's a fit for them, and then take the next step and invest in themselves some money and some time. And they could be having a tune to help them go to their place. It's equivalent to Flagstaff, Arizona. Doesn't have to be there. It could be in their own home and see their vision. One of the things I'm a big fan of, and I work with my clients and friends and people I coach and mentor to write their ideal life story. And the reason I do that is much the same, I think, as what you're doing with the Power Song.
Mm-hmm.
It's I have an acquaintance in another country, and I won't mention any countries or names, and they're in a particular bad spot right now. And I had encouraged this person to write their story. And when I got his feedback, and he was kind of below the line and not feeling, he's a great guy. He's just in a bad spot right now. And so I just asked him, I said, "So where are you at with your ideal life story?" He said, "You could kick me in for that." And I replied back, I said, "It's not about kicking you in anything. It's if you were to do that and it could help you, why not do it? Instead of wallowing in despair, thinking about all the stuff you don't want." Like you said, you went to a therapist and got some help. And he said that you could do this and think of all that other stuff that you've gone through. But why bother doing all that? Why not just move forward looking with anticipation, excitement, and enthusiasm to the ideal you would love to grow into? And I believe that's what you provide with Power Songs, based on what I've known about you before this, and then hearing it again in your own words, sharing it with our audience, the power of Power Songs. And I think that people should follow you up. I think they could find you on YouTube and watch you sing some of your own stuff and see you on that rowboat out on the ocean on the west coast of Canada.
Right.
So is there any words of wisdom that you would like to share with people before we sign off from the broadcast? But don't go away. Hang out when we close this off.
Well, I guess, for me, it's like, don't settle, like keep growing, right? I actually, what, I'll just quote, one of the songs, I've been writing Power Songs since way before. And one of my most popular songs, if you have a popular song as an independent songwriter, is the story of a stallion that's held captive by an electric wire that comes up to his knee. And it's true. I lived on a farm. There's this horse there, and he wouldn't jump over this thing. He could have gone, because he touched it once and got a little shocked. But I wrote this chorus that goes, "Oh, the pastures he could roam if he only knew just how frail these fences are that tell him what he can and cannot do."
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Love that. So on that note, I'm going to say, hey, if you've seen this and liked it, and you like what we're about at the where am I at? The Business Renovator, share it out. If you're watching on the replay, put #replay. And if you're looking for a a question to be answered, throw me the question. I may have the answer. If not, I may find somebody as miraculous as our guest today who talked about PowerSongs. So I encourage you to share, ask questions, and yeah, watch us again. There's some really good stuff in here. Lowry, thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
I'm going to remove you from the room right now, and his URL is powersongs.ca. And if you want to send an email to me, book a time if you would like to be a guest, or if you know somebody who would like to be a guest and share their wisdom with the world through the Business Renovator, Phil at Coach Phil is where you can get a hold of me, .ca, or on Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place there. Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. And many, many best wishes for all of you watching now or on the replay.